Hello, YouTubers, diecast collectors. This is Jared White, the J-Man63, and today I have 3 NASCAR reviews for you guys. This is going to be a review of Jeff Gordon's 24 car. I believe this is from 2008. This is going to be Dale Earnhardt's RCCA Elite car from Action Elite, and it's going to be Jimmie Johnson's car from the Jimmie Johnson Foundation. I figured it was appropriate to review Jimmie Johnson's car and Dale Earnhardt cars together because Jimmie Johnson just won his 7th World Championship. So I thought that was pretty cool. I actually got to see him beat out all the other guys, and it was a pretty awesome race. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the oldest car of the bunch, the Dale Earnhardt RCCA Elite car. Now, when you look at this car, you can see it's got a lot of good detail. It's got all the decals. The exhaust is colored in. Look around the side here. The suspension actually works on all the corners of the wheels. Even the rear suspension works, which is nice. Look around on the front here. You can see Monte Carlo. And it's very well detailed in the front. And you got the decaled headlights, which all NASCARs have. So it is pretty nice on the outside. It represents pretty well. I mean, this replica has aged very good. It's still... Oh, I accidentally bumped Jimmie Johnson. Whoops. But you can see how nice this replica is. Anyway, so there's also a fabric window net right here, which is another nice feature of this car. Unfortunately, one of the hood pins on this car is missing. Gonna have to find another one of these hood pins and glue one back on here, but that's the only issue with this car. And Rick, my mom's fiance Rick, got this for me for Christmas at a no, it was actually my birthday, my bad. He got it for me for my birthday at a thrift store in Pennsylvania, and I didn't know about it until my last birthday. So pretty cool piece though. Now I'll open the hood and quit babbling on and show you the engine. And it has a pretty nicely detailed motor. With the only exception, there's no braided steel hose for the radiator hose, but still it is pretty well detailed for an older RCCA piece. But you can see right there. Pretty nice. And you can see there's no good wrench underneath the hood. Well, I guess that was with the other cars, but that's kind of weird. Usually there's a decal underneath the hood. But all in all, it's pretty nice underneath there. Now, the roof flaps actually do work. But you can see right here, they actually work. Alright, and then here's a little shot of the interior. The interior is pretty well detailed, as much as at least I can get you to see on camera here, because you're not going to be able to see a whole lot. But there you go, there's what you can see of the interior. Now the trunk, I'll move on here. Trunk is pretty well detailed. It's got the filler hose. The hose is a little bit yellowed from being so old, but it's very nice. You're going to expect a little yellowing on some of the plastics if it's this old. But it's pretty nice back there. Pretty well detailed. I'll move on to the undercarriage now, and you can see some of the working bits underneath it. There's actually a number plate right here, as you can see. And there's the suspension back there that I mentioned that works. You can see right there. And the brake discs actually spin as they should through the wheels. I forgot to mention that. But it's pretty well detailed, and it's actually got a die-cast metal base, which is something Action does a lot of on their cars. But it's pretty well detailed underneath there. Alright, now I am going to move on to Jeff Gordon's car, and I will be pointing out a few key differences between the Jimmie Johnson car and the Gordon car. If you look on this car, you're going to see that the spoiler is a little bit different on there. I think that's really the only big difference of this car and the Jimmie Johnson car. But you can see the outside's pretty nice. I have mentioned this in another review of this car. It had a separate review. If you want to go check that out, just look up Jeff Gordon review on my channel, because I do have a review of this car on here. Pretty well detailed. I got this at Ollie's. This was only like $8 or $10 or so for this car, which wasn't too bad. This was brand new and mint in the box, and it came with a piece of tire rubber and a coin and everything. And this one, fabric window net. Fabric on this one's a little less stiff than the Dale Earnhardt car though. It's pretty well detailed. There's no suspension in the back, but there is suspension in the front. But you can see all his decals, and everything's well represented as an action piece should be. Here's the back. And I will mention the roof flaps do actually work on this piece. Although you can't see the window, it has a black background, or the metal's underneath on the roof flap on this one. You don't see the window. Alright, and I will open the hood now. The hood can be a bit tricky to open. Well, it's loosened up a little tiny bit over time, but it's still open solid, and it still holds its position very nicely. This replica is a little bit dusty because it's kind of been on my shelf for so long. You can see how nicely detailed the motor is and everything. It's got the braided steel hoses and all that. So it's pretty well done. There you go, you can see DuPont underneath the hood on this one. Alright, so I'll close that up. And then I'll move on to the interior. If you can actually see the interior, you can kind of see through the windows how dusty they are. I really need to take my cleaning cloth and clean this up. The dust is driving me crazy. The dust is real on this one. Like the struggle's real. All the dust is real, man. Oop, I bumped the camera. Now I'll move on to the trunk here. Alright, so you can see that there is a fuel cell back there. And as always on action cars, it's really well detailed. There you go. There's the best shot I can get of it for you. Alright, so there you go. There's that. Now, I will move on to the underside. I forgot to mention the steering actually does work with the wheel. And it's pretty solid. It doesn't return to the center. Well, this one part it kind of does, but it's pretty good steering on this one. And the suspension on the front works. Here's the underside. It's well detailed. You can see the blue shocks right there, although they don't work. It's still pretty well done. The drive shaft and everything. You can see the underside right here. So all in all, good, very good action piece to get. If you can snag this for $10, it's a good buy. I recommend it. But there you go, there's the underside of that one. And as I pointed out before, key difference between this one and the Jimmie Johnson car is the spoiler. You can see this one has the back ducktail wing, and this one has the larger spoiler on it. Because they changed the wing design, and I believe this Jeff Gordon car is a bit newer. Now moving on to the Jimmie Johnson car. It's a pretty nice piece. He doesn't have as many decals on his car as, say, the Gordon car did. So he doesn't have as much on here. Now the car is really well detailed on the outside. This one is a lot less noticeably dusty because this one has not been sitting out on a shelf yet, and it probably will eventually get very dusty. So, this very nice piece. Nice gray with the blue graphics as Jimmie Johnson's known for. Here's the Lowe's logo right there. And you get all the hood pins. And they're a very nicely detailed, a lot nicer detailed than the hood pins used to be on a lot of actions. Because they're a lot less chunkier. They're a little smaller now. More realistic. And so here's the side. A fabric window net on this one as usual on most of the newer RCCA pieces, although you don't see fabric window nets on the older ones. And up here you kind of see the arrow flaps right here And I think the Gordon car had those same ones. Actually, no, this one has a little larger aero flap right here. So there's a key difference also between the Gordon car with the flaps that you see here and the flaps you see here running down the side of the roof. They're a little different. And of course, they're probably gonna be. But anyway, there you go. Now we'll move on to the hood, underhood detail. Now this one's gonna be difficult to open because it is newer. The struggle's real. Come on, Jimmy, work with me. Alright. I am trying to get the hood open. It will not cooperate. There we go. Man, that thing is tight. Okay. Wow, that was a struggle. Anyway, here's the motor on this one. I don't think it's much different than the Gordon car. It looks pretty much the same. I'm not sure if they run different engines. I'm sure you guys will be able to tell me. I don't think this one has the braided steel hoses like mine has on it. Mine's a little bit nicer underneath the hood. But there's the motor detail for you guys. I'm not going to spend too long on that one, since it took me so long to get that hood open. Man, that thing is tight. Here's the interior. That thing was a struggle to open, I tell you what. But there you go. Interior shot. Now I'll open the trunk. And you can see Helmet of Hope on here. I forgot to point that out. But it's got a lot of decals. And there's the identification number. You can register this car online if you so wish to do so. My Gordon car has the same thing. Alright, so now I will open the trunk. But there you go, there's the back end with the fuel cell. That's where the car gets its fuel from. Pretty well detailed. But there you go. Alright, so now that I have shown you that, the hinges are tight on this one. Here's the underside. The oil pan on this one's different than the Gordon car. As you'll note here, it's more of a curved oil pan. The Gordon car was more of a squarish oil pan. So there's a little bit of difference in the motor, I'm sure. Anyway, but there you go. And the steering actually does work on this car. The steering is a little bit tighter because steering is a little tighter on this one. It wants to return to the center, that's the thing. But there you go. There's the underside. Alright guys, well, if you enjoyed this review and you have any criticism or comments to make on it, make sure you leave comments below. Make sure you rate and subscribe to my channel. As always, I will be trying to put out some more videos this year, so stay tuned for more stuff. And as always, if it has to do with diecast, it has to be the J-Man 63. Have a good one, guys. Bye.